David slowly opened his eyes, his head throbbing as he tried to remember what had happened. The last thing he recalled was his spaceship shaking violently, alarms blaring, and then darkness. Now he was lying on a soft, smooth surface, surrounded by glowing walls that pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. The air smelled fresh but carried a strange, sweet scent he had never encountered before. He sat up, his body aching from the crash. His hands ran over the surface beneath him. It was neither metal nor stone, something soft yet firm, like a living material. The soft humming sound filled the air, making the place feel alive. David turned his head and froze. A figure stood near the only visible exit. She was humanoid, but clearly not human. Her skin had a faint shimmer, like stardust reflecting light, and her deep blue eyes watched him with quiet curiosity. She had long silver hair that moved slightly as if it were weightless. She wore a simple, flowing garment made of a material that seemed almost liquid, shifting colors between pale blue and silver. "You must stay here, human," she said softly. David blinked. Her voice was calm, almost gentle, but her words felt like a command. He rubbed his temples and tried to gather his thoughts. "Where am I? Who are you?" The girl hesitated, then took a step closer. "You are safe. This place will protect you." "That's not an answer," David said, looking around. "I need to get back to my ship." She shook her head. "Your ship is gone." David's chest tightened. "Gone? What do you mean?" "It was damaged beyond repair. The Sci-Fi took it." Sci-Fi. David realized she must be talking about the strange energy storm he had encountered before crashing. He took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. If his ship was destroyed, he was stranded on an alien planet with no way to contact Earth. He studied the girl again. She didn't look hostile, but something about her posture told him she was serious about keeping him here. "Look, I appreciate the help, but I can't just stay locked up in here. I need to find a way off this planet." "You must stay," she repeated, her voice softer this time. David sighed and got to his feet. His legs felt weak, but he managed to steady himself. He took a step toward the exit, but as he did, the walls around him shifted. The glowing surface rippled like water, and suddenly there was no exit at all, just more of the strange pulsing walls. What? David reached out to touch the wall, but it was solid again. It was as if the room itself had changed. He turned to face the girl. "Did you do that?" She shook her head. "This place responds to danger." "Danger? What danger?" David asked, frowning. "Are you saying something outside is dangerous?" She didn't answer, but the look in her eyes told him enough. David ran a hand through his short brown hair, frustration growing inside him. He had no weapons, no tools, and no way of knowing what was happening outside. All he had was the word of this mysterious alien girl who insisted he stay put. "What's your name?" he asked, deciding to change the approach. She hesitated again before answering. "Mira." "Mira," he repeated. "All right, Mira, I need to understand what's happening. Why am I here? And why can't I leave?" Mira's expression didn't change, but she finally spoke. "The outside world is not safe for you." David crossed his arms. "Not safe how? Is it the atmosphere? Is it the creatures? What is it?" Mira looked away for a moment, as if thinking. Then she stepped forward and placed a hand on the wall. The glowing surface rippled again, and suddenly, a section of it became transparent. David moved closer, his breath catching in his throat as he saw what lay beyond the strange room. The landscape outside was breathtaking yet eerie. Towering crystal-like trees stretched toward a purple sky, their branches glowing faintly with blue and green light. The ground shimmered as if covered in tiny moving particles, like sand shifting on its own. Strange plants pulsed with soft light, and in the distance, something moved. David's eyes locked onto the figure, a shadowy, shifting creature with glowing white eyes. It had no solid form, as if it were made of smoke, but it moved with purpose, its gaze scanning the area as if searching for something. Mira's voice was barely a whisper. "It is looking for you." David's heart pounded. "What is that thing?" Mira placed a hand on his arm, a rare show of urgency. "The Veilborn." David swallowed hard. He had no idea what a Veilborn was, but something about the way it moved sent a chill down his spine. He could feel the wrongness of it, like it didn't belong in this world. Mira let the wall return to its solid form and turned back to him. "This place shields you. It cannot see you here." David exhaled slowly. "So that thing is hunting me." Mira nodded. "It follows the scent of something new. You are the first human to step on this world. It will not stop until it finds you." David ran a hand over his face. Great, just great. Now he understood why Mira was so insistent on keeping him here. She wasn't imprisoning him. She was protecting him. Still, David wasn't the type to just sit and wait. If that creature was after him, then there had to be a way to stop it. He wasn't going to be a helpless prisoner, even if Mira was trying to keep him safe. He looked at her, determination in his eyes. "I need to know everything about this thing. If it's after me, then I need to figure out how to stop it." Mira studied him for a moment, then gave a small nod. "The story of the Veilborn is old," she said, "but if you wish to know, I will tell you." David sat back down, realizing that whatever was happening, he was now a part of it. And if he wanted to survive, he needed to understand this world. And fast. David sat cross-legged on the smooth, glowing floor, his eyes fixed on Mira. The soft hum of the room filled the silence as he waited for her to speak. His heart still raced from seeing the shadowy creature outside, the Veilborn. He felt trapped, but he knew that knowledge was his only weapon. Mira's silver hair shimmered under the soft light as she began. The Veilborn was not always a hunter. Long ago, it was part of the life force of this planet. But something changed. It became twisted. It feeds on energy now, life energy. When you crashed, it felt something new, something it craves. David frowned. "Me. It wants me because I'm different." Mira nodded. "Your presence is a call it cannot ignore." David's fists clenched. He didn't like the idea of being prey, but running or hiding forever wasn't an option either. "So, why can't we fight it? Is it invincible?" Mira's eyes darkened slightly. "No, but it cannot be destroyed by force. It is part of the veil, the thin line between what is real and what is beyond. It moves through shadows, through places that are between light and dark. Weapons cannot touch it. Only," she paused, as if unsure whether to continue. "Only what?" David pressed. "Only balance can weaken it," Mira said softly. "Long ago, my people kept the balance through the core, an ancient heart of this world. Our songs kept it pure, and the Veilborn remained asleep. But the songs faded as my people left. Now, the Veilborn roams freely." David rubbed his chin. "So, if the core is weakened, can it be restored?" Mira looked at him with surprise. "Yes, but it is dangerous. The core is deep within the heart of this planet, and the Veilborn's power is strongest there." David's jaw tightened. "Then we need to get to it." Mira's voice grew firm. "No, you must stay here. If you leave, the Veilborn will find you immediately. You are a beacon." David stood up, pacing. "So, what? I just sit here forever while that thing hunts outside?" Mira's gaze softened. "I understand your frustration. But you are safe here. That is what matters." David stopped and turned to her. "But you're not safe, are you? What happens if it finds this place?" Mira looked away, and her silence told him everything. Suddenly, the soft hum of the room changed. It grew sharper, and the walls pulsed faster. Mira's head snapped up. "It's close." David's pulse quickened. "The Veilborn." Mira nodded. "It is searching. The shield is holding. For now." David's eyes darted around. Is there another way out of here? In case we need to escape. Mira touched the wall, and a small section shimmered, revealing a narrow tunnel. This path leads deeper underground, but it will not hide you for long. Before David could respond, a deep, low sound, like a distant growl, echoed from outside. The walls flickered, and David felt a sudden chill, as if something cold had passed through him. "It's testing the shield," Mira said, her voice tight with worry. David clenched his fists. "How long can the shield hold?" Mira's lips pressed together. "Not long. The Veilborn grows stronger with every search." David felt anger rising. He hated feeling helpless. Then what's stopping it from breaking in? Mira hesitated. "I am." David's eyes widened. "You?" Mira turned to him, her shimmering eyes filled with quiet strength. "I am linked to this sanctuary. As long as I am here, the shield holds. But it drains me." David's stomach dropped. He hadn't noticed before, but Mira looked pale, her silver glow dimmer than when they first met. "You're using your own energy to keep me safe." Mira gave a faint smile. "It is my duty." "You are important." David shook his head. "But why? Why risk your life for me? I'm just a stranger to you." Mira's voice softened. "Because I know what you are. You are human. And humans change things." David felt a lump in his throat. He wasn't used to someone protecting him like this, especially someone he barely knew. His eyes searched hers, and he saw no fear, only resolve. "I can't let you do this alone," he said firmly. Mira's voice grew gentle. "You already are helping, David. You gave me something I had lost. Hope." Suddenly, the walls flickered again, and a sharp crack echoed through the chamber. Mira staggered slightly, and David caught her arm. "Mira," her voice was faint. "The shield. It's breaking." David's heart pounded. He could feel it. A cold, dark presence pressing against the walls of reality. "We have to go. Come on." But Mira shook her head weakly. "If I leave, the shield falls. It will come. Immediately." David felt a knot of frustration. "Then I'll stay with you. We'll fight together." Mira's tired eyes met his. "You are brave. But this fight is not with weapons. It is with the heart." The room shook again, and cracks of shadowy tendrils slid across the walls, seeking entry. David made a decision. "Then tell me how to help you." Mira hesitated, then said softly, "Hold my hand. Let me share your light." Without thinking, David grasped her hand. The moment their palms met, a warm glow erupted between them. He felt something, like a thread connecting their hearts, their energies. Mira gasped softly, and for a second, her glow grew stronger, and the cracks in the walls began to seal. The Veilborn's distant growl grew into a frustrated screech, and the shadows recoiled from the light. The shield pulsed brightly once more, holding firm. Mira's knees weakened, but David held her steady. "I've got you," he said. Mira's voice was soft but sure. "You are different, David. Your heart shines." The room grew quiet, the hum steady once more. The Veilborn had retreated, for now. David's eyes burned with determination. "It'll come back. We can't keep this up forever." Mira's voice was faint but hopeful. "No, but now, we stand together." David nodded, his jaw set. "Then let's find a way to end this, together." David felt the warmth fading from his hand, as Mira slowly pulled away. She was weak, her silver glow dimmer than before. His heart pounded from their shared moment of power, a strange connection that had pushed back the Veilborn, if only for a while. He knelt beside her, his voice firm but gentle. "Mira, are you all right?" Mira's breath was slow, but she managed a soft nod. "I am still here." The walls around them had returned to their calm, pulsing glow. The Veilborn was gone, but David knew it was only a matter of time before it returned, stronger than before. He helped Mira sit against the smooth wall and met her eyes. You said the core kept the balance. If we reach it, can we stop the Veilborn for good? Mira's voice was faint. The core holds the life of this world, but it is fading. Without the song, the Veilborn cannot be sealed. My people sang to the core for centuries, but now. She looked down, her expression clouded with sadness. David frowned. But you're still here. Can't you sing to it? Mira's eyes glimmered, but she shook her head. I tried, but the core no longer answers me. It has grown cold to my voice. David's mind raced. Then maybe it needs something new, something different. Mira looked at him curiously. You mean, your voice? David hesitated. He wasn't a singer, and he didn't know anything about this planet's energy. But something deep inside told him that his presence here meant something. His connection with Mira had already pushed back the Veilborn. What if his human spirit could reach the core too? It's worth a try, he said firmly. But first, we need to get there. Mira's eyes softened. You are brave, David, but the path to the core is dangerous. The Veilborn's power grows strongest near it. David's lips pressed together in determination. Then we face it together. Mira nodded slowly. Very well. I will guide you. But we must move quickly before it returns. They traveled through the narrow tunnel that Mira had shown him. The walls glowed softly, lighting their path without need for torches. David kept a steady pace, but his eyes remained sharp, watching for any sign of danger. As they walked, he spoke softly to Mira, hoping to keep her strength up. So, you said your people left. Why? Mira's voice echoed softly in the tunnel. They feared the Veilborn would destroy everything. Many fled to distant worlds. I stayed, because someone had to guard the core. Someone had to keep hope alive. David's chest tightened. So, you've been alone all this time? Mira's eyes flickered. Yes, until you arrived. David felt a surge of resolve. Then let's make sure your waiting wasn't for nothing. The tunnel opened into a massive cavern. David's breath caught at the sight before him. The core. It was a towering crystal, floating above a pool of shimmering liquid that pulsed with soft, dying light. Cracks ran through its surface, and its glow flickered weakly, as if struggling to stay alive. The cavern was eerily silent, but David felt something, a presence, ancient and powerful, watching them. Mira's voice was soft, filled with sorrow. The core, it is fading faster than I feared. David stepped forward, his reflection shimmering in the liquid below the core. He could feel the energy, weak but still alive. He placed a hand on his chest, feeling his heartbeat. Can it hear me? He asked. Mira's voice was unsure. The core listens to life, to heart, but it knows the voices of my people. You are something new. David took a deep breath and closed his eyes. Then let's try. He opened his mouth and began to hum softly. The sound was rough, untrained, but it was filled with something real. His heart, his hope, his humanity. The core flickered, the light inside it pulsing weakly in rhythm with his voice. Mira's eyes widened in surprise. It responds to you. But suddenly, a cold wind swept through the cavern. The shimmering liquid below the core darkened, and a familiar, dreadful sound filled the air, a low, echoing growl. The Veilborn. From the shadows, the creature emerged, its smoky form twisting and shifting, glowing eyes fixed on David. It had found them. Mira's voice was urgent. David, the Veilborn is drawn to your energy. You must not stop. David's heart pounded, but he kept humming, his voice growing louder. The core's glow brightened slightly, but the Veilborn moved closer, tendrils of shadow reaching toward him. Mira stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. You will not take him. She raised her hands, and a barrier of light formed between David and the creature. The Veilborn hissed, striking the barrier, but Mira's power held. For now. David felt the energy between himself, Mira, and the core. It was incomplete, like a puzzle missing a piece, and then he knew they had to sing together. Mira, he called out, his voice steady despite the danger. Sing with me. Mira's eyes met his, and she understood. Without hesitation, she lifted her voice, a soft, melodic sound that wove with David's rough but powerful hum. The cavern filled with their combined song, human and Lyron, different but united. The core pulsed, cracks sealing as its light grew stronger. The Veilborn screeched, its form twisting violently as if in pain. The creature struck Mira's barrier again, and this time the barrier shattered into fragments of light. Mira gasped and fell to her knees. David. The Veilborn surged forward, but David didn't stop. His voice rose, filled with everything he was: fear, hope, determination. The core blazed with sudden brilliance, and from it, a pulse of pure energy exploded outward. The wave struck the Veilborn, and the creature's form unraveled, shadows dispersing as it let out a final, agonized screech. Then, silence. The core floated, shining with renewed life, its cracks gone. The cavern was filled with soft, golden light. David rushed to Mira's side, lifting her gently. Mira, are you all right? Mira's eyes opened slowly, and a soft smile touched her lips. The core, it lives. David felt the warmth around them, the planet's heartbeat strong once more. We did it, he whispered, his voice filled with wonder. Together. Mira's hand touched his, her voice soft but sure. Yes, together. As they rested beside the now-healed core, David realized the truth. This world was no longer just Mira's. It was theirs. And the real journey had only just begun. David sat beside Mira, the soft glow of the core lighting their faces. The Veilborn was gone, for now, and the ancient heart of the planet pulsed with life once more. Yet he felt something wasn't over. The warmth from the core felt incomplete. Mira's voice was soft. You saved the core. Your voice. It reached where mine could not. David shook his head. We saved it, but something still feels off. Mira's eyes dimmed slightly. The core is alive again, but it is not whole. The balance is broken. The Veilborn was only a piece of the darkness. There is something deeper, something beneath the core. David felt a strange pull, like the core was whispering to him. Then we find it. Whatever's down there, we face it together. Mira's gaze softened, but worry clouded her eyes. The path below is unknown. Even my people never walked it. David gave a small smile. Good. Then we'll be the first. A soft hum echoed through the cavern, and suddenly, the core began to shift. A spiral of crystal steps formed beneath it, leading downward into glowing darkness. Mira's voice was low. It opens the way for you. David extended his hand. For us. Mira hesitated for a second, then took his hand. Together. The steps led them into a vast tunnel, where the walls glowed faintly with the same soft light as the core. Strange patterns covered the surface, swirls, shapes, and lines that pulsed like a living heartbeat. David's voice was filled with wonder. It feels alive. Mira touched the wall lightly, her fingers glowing faintly. It is. The core's roots run through the planet. This is its heart. They walked in silence until the tunnel opened into a wide chamber. In the center stood something neither of them expected. A tree. Its trunk was crystal, glowing with soft blue veins, and its leaves shimmered like tiny stars. But the tree was withering. Some branches cracked, the leaves falling softly like glass droplets. The ground around it felt cold, lifeless. Mira's voice broke the silence. This is the tree of memory. It holds the spirit of this world and its history. David stepped forward, his voice soft. It's dying. Mira's eyes were filled with sorrow. The Veilborn fed on its life for centuries. The core awakened, but the tree is too weak. David placed his hand on the trunk. Is there a way to help it? Mira's voice was distant. Maybe, if it remembers what it has lost. David turned to her. How? Mira placed her hand beside his, and a soft glow passed through the tree. Suddenly, a vision. They stood in a golden field under a sky filled with twin suns. The air was warm, and soft voices filled the wind. A song, sung by 1,000 voices, weaving through the sky. Mira's voice was soft. This was my world. Before the darkness came. The scene shifted, the sky darkened, and shadows fell like a wave. The twin suns dimmed, and the voices turned to silence. The Veilborn rose, feeding on light and life. But then, a bright figure appeared, a woman with silver hair like Mira's. She raised her hands, and from her heart, a light spread across the world, holding back the darkness. David felt Mira's breath catch. That is, my mother. She gave herself to the core, to seal the darkness away. The vision faded. David felt his chest tighten. Mira, I'm so sorry. Mira's voice was soft but steady. She saved this world. But the darkness was never destroyed. Only sleeping. David looked back at the withering tree. Then that's why the Veilborn came back. The balance broke when the song ended. Mira nodded. Without the song, the core weakened. The Veilborn awoke. Now, the tree is the last memory of that song. If it dies, the balance is lost forever. David felt a sudden pull from the tree. A whisper. Mira, I think the tree wants something. From me. Mira's eyes searched his face. The tree, it feels your heart. David's voice grew firm. Then let me give it more. He closed his eyes and placed his other hand on the tree. He didn't know the songs of Mira's people, but he knew himself. He let the tree feel his heart, his hope, his pain, his joy, the memories of his home, his earth, his people. The tree trembled. Slowly, tiny sparks of light rose from the ground like fireflies. The cracked branches began to heal, and a soft pulse ran through the trunk. The leaves stopped falling. Mira's eyes widened. It's listening to you. But suddenly, the ground shook, and a deep, cold whisper filled the chamber. You have touched what was not yours. The voice was not from the Veilborn. It was deeper. A crack appeared in the floor beneath the tree, and from it, shadows began to rise. But these shadows were different. Thicker, colder. They didn't slither. They stood. Shapes formed. Figures with hollow faces and glowing eyes. Mira's voice was sharp. The forgotten. Spirits, lost to the darkness. The shadows began to move toward the tree, their steps slow but relentless. The air grew cold, and the soft light of the tree began to dim once more. David's voice was hard. They're trying to finish what the Veilborn started. Mira's hands glowed, but she was weak from their journey. I can't hold them back alone. David's voice was steady. You're not alone. He turned to the tree, his heart pounding. You felt me. Now feel us. He reached for Mira's hand, and she took it without hesitation. Together, they placed their joined hands on the trunk. The air around them pulsed, and suddenly, a song. It wasn't just from them. It came from the tree, from the core, from the world itself. A song of memory and heart, of loss and hope. It filled the chamber, pushing back the cold. The forgotten paused, their hollow eyes flickering with something. Then, one by one, they began to dissolve into soft lights, joining the song. The cracks in the earth sealed. The cold vanished, and the tree began to bloom. Mira's eyes sparkled with wonder. David, we gave it a new song. David's voice was soft, but sure. No, it gave us one. And we sang it together. The tree's light filled the chamber, and in its warmth, David felt something new. Hope. The chamber filled with the soft, golden glow of the blooming tree of memory. David and Mira stood hand in hand, their hearts still beating fast from the song they had shared with the tree. The forgotten spirits were gone, their sadness lifted into the light. The ground, once cracked and cold, now pulsed with warmth and life. Mira's voice was soft with wonder. The tree, it feels alive again. David looked up at the branches, now full of shimmering leaves. Yeah, but I think it's showing us something. Suddenly, the light from the tree swirled and formed a shape in front of them. A figure. A woman, tall and graceful, with silver hair like Mira's. She looked like she was made of stardust. Her eyes were soft and filled with both sadness and love. Mira's breath caught. Mother. The woman smiled gently. My sweet Mira. And the human with the pure heart. You have done what even I could not. You have awakened the world's song. David's voice was soft with awe. You are Mira's mother. The figure nodded. I was once, before I became part of the core. Now, I am only a memory, held by the tree. Mira stepped forward, her voice trembling. Mother, I missed you. The woman's face softened, and I have watched over you always. But now, there is something you must know, and a choice you must make. The light around them swirled again, and another vision appeared. They saw the planet, shining and full of life. But beneath it, deep in its heart, a dark shape twisted and moved. It was not the Veilborn. It was something older. Something. Sleeping. Mira's mother spoke, her voice serious. The Veilborn was only a shadow of what lies below. The true darkness, the eternal hunger, is still asleep. But your song has begun to wake it. David's heart pounded. We woke something worse. The woman's voice was sad but calm. Yes, but it was necessary. The tree was dying, and with it, the heart of this world. Without its song, everything would have ended slowly. Now, the end may come swiftly, but there is hope. Mira's voice was soft, her eyes searching her mother's. What must we do? The woman looked at both of them, her eyes full of both love and sorrow. The only way to stop the eternal hunger is to seal it. But this time, the seal cannot break. The core must have a guardian. David felt a chill. A guardian. Mira's mother nodded. Someone must join with the core, forever. They will become part of the planet's heart. They will sing the song, and the world will listen. The darkness will sleep. As long as the guardian sings, a heavy silence fell. Mira's voice was soft, but steady. Then, I will do it. I will become the guardian. David turned sharply, his eyes wide. Mira, no. Mira's eyes met his. David, it is my world, my people. My mother gave her life for this. Now, it is my turn. David's heart pounded, but he'll be gone. Mira's hand touched his softly. Not gone. I will become the world. You will still hear me. In every leaf, in every breeze, I will sing. David felt a deep ache inside. But I don't want to lose you. Mira's eyes shone with sadness and something else, something warm. David, you gave me something I never had. You gave me hope. You showed me that hearts can meet across stars. That is a gift I will never lose. But then, the tree's light pulsed again, and a voice, soft but clear, filled their minds. No, there is another way. Mira's mother's eyes widened in surprise. The tree, it speaks. The voice of the tree was soft, almost like a whisper carried on the wind. Two hearts, one song, can become a bridge. Not one, but two, may share the burden. David's eyes narrowed. You mean, we can do it, together. The tree glowed softly. Two hearts, joined, can hold the darkness forever if they sing as one. Mira's voice was filled with hope. Together, David met her gaze, his voice sure and steady. Mira, you're not doing this alone. I said it from the start. Together. Mira's eyes softened, and for a moment, she looked at him not as an alien, but as something more. David, are you sure? David's smile was warm, but firm. I've never been more sure. If you sing, I'll sing with you. Forever. Mira's mother's face softened with love. Two hearts, one song. Perhaps this was always the answer. The tree's light grew brighter, and the chamber began to pulse with a deep, soft hum. Mira's voice was steady. Then, let us sing. David took her hand. Together, they stepped into the heart of the tree, and the light surrounded them, warm, gentle, and endless. The song began, soft at first, then rising. Two voices, one heart. It was a song of love and loss, of endings and beginnings. It was a song of life. The ground trembled, and deep below, the eternal hunger stirred, but the song reached it. The darkness paused, listened, and then slept. The tremors stopped, the cold vanished, and across the entire world, life bloomed. The chamber grew still, and the tree's light became soft and steady once more. But in its heart, two lights glowed, side by side, forever. Mira's mother, now only a soft figure of memory, smiled with gentle joy. Two hearts, one song. You saved everything. Her form began to fade. Mira, I am so proud of you. And you, David, thank you for loving my daughter and her world. With a soft shimmer, she was gone, carried into the song. The world above changed. The sky grew brighter. Flowers bloomed where none had grown before. And on the wind, a song, soft, warm, and eternal. If you listened closely, you could hear them. Two voices, singing together, forever. A warm glow filled the chamber. David and Mira stood inside the heart of the tree of memory, their hands joined, their hearts singing together. Their voices became one, and the world listened. The eternal hunger, the darkness deep below, had paused and slipped back into sleep. Peace had returned for now. But as their song continued, the tree's light suddenly flickered. The soft, steady hum turned sharp, like a string pulled too tight. David felt it first, a sudden ache deep in his chest. Mira, something's wrong. Mira's eyes, glowing softly from their connection to the core, widened. The balance is breaking. The tree's voice, a soft whisper in their minds, spoke again. Two hearts, one song, but the darkness is stronger than it was. Mira's voice trembled. The eternal hunger, it is waking again, too soon. David's hand gripped hers tighter, but we stopped it. The tree's whisper carried sadness. It felt your song, and now it wants your light. The ground beneath them trembled. A cold wind, impossible inside the chamber, swept past. Shadows, thin and sharp, began to creep along the walls, but they didn't form shapes like before. This time, they moved like fingers reaching for the light. Mira's voice was urgent. It's trying to break through the core, from the inside. David's heart pounded. Then we can't let it. Mira closed her eyes, and her voice rose into the song, strong and bright. David followed, their hearts pouring into the music. The shadows hissed and withdrew, but only for a moment. The tree's whisper returned. The song is not enough. The darkness has learned to listen. Now, it wants to sing back. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the chamber, deep, hollow, and cold. You sing of light, but I am older than songs. I was here before the first heart, and I will remain when the last stops beating. The shadows surged forward, and the chamber dimmed. The golden glow of the tree began to fade. David felt cold fear, but his voice didn't break. "Mira, we can't let it take the song." Mira's eyes flashed with resolve. "Then, we sing louder." They poured everything into the song, every memory, every hope. The tree responded, its light growing brighter again, pushing back the darkness. But the shadows twisted, not attacking, but changing. And suddenly, David froze. In front of him stood a figure, his mother. She looked at him with soft, familiar eyes. "David, come home. You don't belong here." David's heart stopped. Mom." The figure smiled gently. "You've done enough. Come back, where you're safe." Mira's voice broke through. "David, it's not her." David's hand shook, his heart pounding. "But she." The Shadow Mother stepped forward, her voice soft. "You've given so much. Let someone else finish the song." David's throat tightened. He felt himself slipping. But then, a hand gripped his, warm, steady. Mira's voice, soft but firm. "David, I'm here." The illusion flickered and shattered. The shadow dissolved, hissing in frustration. David's chest heaved, but his grip on Mira's hand was strong. "It tried to break me." Mira's eyes met his, full of warmth. "But you didn't break." The darkness hissed again, and this time it formed Mira. Her own voice echoed. "You should not trust him. He is only human, weak, mortal. He will leave you one day." Mira's breath caught, her eyes wide. The shadow spoke her deepest fear. She felt its cold reach into her heart. But David's voice rose in a whisper, steady and true. "Mira, look at me." She turned, her eyes meeting his. His voice was soft but unshakable. "You're not alone. I chose to stay because you matter to me, not just this world. You." The shadow Mira flickered, then shattered like glass. Mira's voice, soft and sure, answered, "I believe you." Their song, together, grew brighter, stronger, unbreakable. The darkness screamed, a sound without sound, a hollow cry. But it didn't vanish. It changed. The trees whisper, faint but clear. The darkness has no heart, but it has always heard the song. It only knows hunger. David's eyes flashed with understanding. "It's empty." Mira's voice joined his. "It only knows to take. It has never known what it feels like to be given." David's voice became soft. "Then, let's show it." Their song shifted, not a battle song, but a song of offering. They didn't fight the darkness. They invited it. "Come," their voices sang, "and feel what we feel. Feel warmth. Feel connection. Feel belonging." The shadows paused, hesitated, and then they shivered. The cold in them softened. The hunger slowed. The shadows did not vanish, but they began to listen. The chamber grew still. The tree's voice was soft. "You showed it what it never knew. You gave what it could not take, freely." The darkness did not disappear. It curled and rested. The eternal hunger did not end. But it slept, not from battle, but from understanding. The tree's glow returned, soft and steady, and in its heart, two lights, one gold, one silver, together. Mira's voice, soft but steady. "David, we did it." David smiled, his voice warm. "No, we lived it." Their hearts, forever joined, sang on, and the world listened. The chamber of the tree of memory was peaceful. The light, once flickering and weak, now shone with a soft, steady glow. The eternal hunger once a force of cold emptiness, had quieted, not from defeat, but from understanding. Mira and David stood together at the heart of the tree. Their hands were still joined, their hearts still singing. But now, their song was one of peace, not battle. They had done what no one had ever done before. They had shared their hearts with the darkness, and it had listened. The tree's soft voice returned, gentle and warm. The darkness will sleep. Your song has become its dream. Mira's eyes glowed softly as she looked at David. We changed it together. David smiled, his voice warm and a little amazed. Yeah, I guess we taught it something new. What it means to belong. Mira squeezed his hand, her voice soft. David, you stayed, even when you didn't have to. David's smile softened. I stayed because you're here, and because we belong together. The tree's glow suddenly shifted, growing brighter. The chamber filled with a soft hum, almost like a new verse of their song. Then, before them, a doorway opened. Beyond it, a sky filled with stars. The tree's voice returned, calm and clear. The world is healed. And now, a choice is yours to make. Mira's eyes flickered. A choice. The tree's light pulsed softly. The bond you share has become eternal. The core accepts you both. If you wish, you may stay. You will live here forever, as guardians, as part of the song. Mira's heart trembled. We would become the song. The tree's voice was gentle. Yes, your hearts would join the world forever. You would never be apart. David felt the warmth of Mira's hand, but also the weight of the choice. And the other choice. The tree's glow softened. You may leave. Together. Return to the stars. The song will remember you, and the world will remain because of you. A deep silence filled the chamber. David's heart pounded. Mira, what do you want? Mira's voice was soft, her eyes shining. My whole life, I felt alone. I thought my place was only here. But I found something new. With you. She paused, her voice tender. David, my place is where you are. David's voice was steady, his heart clear. Then, let's choose, together. The tree waited, its light patient and warm. And together, they spoke. We choose to live. The doorway opened wider. A soft wind, full of the song they had created, swept through the chamber. The tree's voice was full of joy. Then, live well. Your song will always be with us. Mira's eyes shone softly. Thank you, Mother, and thank you, Tree. David squeezed her hand, his voice warm. We'll never forget this place, or our song. With their hearts still singing, they stepped through the doorway. Epilogue, the echo among stars. Years passed, but the song never ended. Among the stars, a ship sailed, a small, quiet vessel built for two. It traveled not with haste, but with wonder. Inside, two voices often filled its walls, sometimes with song, and sometimes with laughter. Mira, her silver hair now longer, gazed through the window at the endless sky. David, look, a new world. David, standing beside her, smiled. Another place to explore, together. Mira's voice was soft, but full of joy. Together, always, and far behind them, on a world that still bloomed with life. A soft hum always filled the air. The song of two hearts. A song of hope. A song of forever. The end.